death out of business. We're putting death out of a job. And a way to help us to in that process is always new technologies. And new technologies means augmented reality. Augmented reality is really, really exciting because it's going to change the way we live. I mean, it already is changing the way we live, but it's going to change medicine, infrastructure. It's going to change all manner of gaming. It's going to change the way we perceive the world and how we interact with the world, and make us also reconsider what exactly is the world. And augmented reality is a really, really exciting technology. And on it here we have, thank you very much, Ben Zion, 2020, coming around to talk about augmented reality. And we also have Mike. And let's go, Mike. Introduce yourself to the audience. You're a USTP member. Really exciting stuff. Really good to have you along for the journey. Just tell the audience who you are, your USTP journey up until now. Thank you so much for coming on, Mike.
Well, I'm Mike. I don't. I've been interested in transhumanism. I've been interested in technology for quite a while, but I didn't know about the name transhumanism till maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. But I've been interested in a lot of things technology related for like a long, long time, basically. And I just joined the USTP back in like October, November this year or so. So it's just recently.
Yeah. Wow, fantastic. Good move, solid move. One of these many, many people who are flocking over to the USTP searching for real answers and real solutions to today's problems. Just tell us, this is really interesting. How did you find the USTP? You know, what was your journey? How did you get transhumanism and then associate that with the US Transhumanist-Party? And what was it about the US Transhumanist-Party that made you click the button to subscribe and to become a member? Can you just enlighten us on that journey for us?
Well, doing certain things, doing cybernetics and AI and AGI, and as time went on, when I was doing research on Google, I came across some Humanity Plus, the Lifeboat Foundation, and there's some other ones too, but I can't remember the name of the organizations. And then that's how I ended up finding out about transhumanism, and then I did more research on that, and that led me to the USTP, and I decided to join, basically.
Fantastic. Well, that's really exciting. That's really cool. That's really good to.
We have just a few days left in 2019. 2020 is going to really be a banner year for augmented reality. And so we thought we would do a little bit of a consumer review of some of the augmented reality products and new developments that we're going to be looking at in 2020. It's a little bit of a departure from the format of the show that we've sometimes done, but talking about these some of these new products and innovations. And of course, a lot of this will be spurred forward by the rollout of 5G in 2020, an exciting prospect and something that allows for these kind of uses like continuous streaming in head-up devices. And so this is all exciting prospects. There's a lot of new products that we could be talking about. So we thought we would have a nice chat and round out the end of the year of many fine discussions of advanced interfaces by looking forward to 2020 and augmented reality and advanced interfaces specifically.
Yeah, well, we are doing augmented reality, and as you said, we are going to concentrate on that. Thanks for that, Mike. That little thanks for telling us how you came to the USTP through Humanity Plus. But yeah, okay, Ben, open up. What's your favorite product looking forward? A consumer product looking forward?
Yes. So Apple has announced an AR kit, and also Google is broadening its software development kit to allow for a lot more augmented reality apps. This is an area that's a little bit lacking. There's not a culture of app development for head-up devices in the way that there is even for virtual reality, or certainly for other applications that are based from your smartphone. So this is something that we should be looking at more and more, and we want to see coders and users migrating into these communities to a high degree, and that's a big trend that we're looking at. As many of our viewers know, I'm going to be setting a Guinness record for the longest period of augmented reality usage in Q1 of 2020, and a lot of this event will revolve around a number of interviews with various futurists and technologists talking about many of these subjects. And one subject that is of interest to the marketplace is using more and more augmented reality to improve shopping experiences. This is something that is of great interest. Retailers are integrating head-up devices and augmented reality uses into their shops and their shopping experiences. And this like many features of AR, it creates a wonderful new set of options in a lot of things of this kind. There's a lot of other trends that we could be talking about. I remember going back almost 10 years now in New York City, not a head-up device, but an augmented reality device where you could take your smartphone and point it at some landmark in your neighborhood, and it would devise where you were and give you a sort of intuitive set of instructions for where you were trying to go. Something that is now being improved upon in this head-up device framework. All manner of navigation tools of this kind. So there's an awful lot of solutions that we've talked about. Also, uses for these things in workplace in various disciplines. This is already a very commonplace experience for active duty military or people who are training in this area, and it's fairly common in a number of other applications. People working in design, people working in warehouses. This is increasingly with us, and will be with us even more so in 2020. A lot of interesting things. We were in the pre-interview. We had a special guest with us. We were talking about how augmented reality is dramatically enhanced by quote unquote artificial intelligence, more advanced interfaces that work with augmented reality, namely NLP, natural language processing, and these kinds of things. This can improve the quality and sheer quantity of work and experiences that we can be having. This is something that will transform the workplace, but also transform user experiences in ways that we can scarcely anticipate. And so these are all exciting prospects in augmented reality, and things that I would encourage people to consider purchasing these kind of head-up devices in 2020. And we can talk about some of those products that are available and some of the different price points for those as well.
Fantastic. And Mike, open up on augmented reality and or any consumer products that you're excited about.
I'm excited on too much. I have read some things. I don't remember exactly where, but I remember reading some things dealing with augmented reality and holography or holograms, but in Western Europe. I think there's like maybe a couple of places in Sweden, I think, that are specializing in hologram technology and AR, and I would love to see that be here in the States as opposed to in Western Europe. But I could be wrong. And I think
there have been some interesting breakthroughs in this this kind of interface as well. That's an interesting subject.
Yeah, holography is a really interesting one as well. But yeah, so continue. So you are breaking up a little bit, I think, which is making a little bit of a problem. But yeah, so you want to see this in the United States. Do you think 2020 is a year for a more consumer demand and integration with AR? Do you think there will be a tidal wave of AR in the United States?
It depends on a
I,
few factors. So when you look at the popularity of games like Pokemon Go and the very
right.
popular use of Snapchat filters that superimpose this augmented reality through the smartphone application, um, when people do become finally adapters of head-up devices, there's a lot more versatility for applications of this kind. So, but we've seen in the past a notable market resistance to some of these technologies. So much so that the Google Glass products were regarded as something that was not merely expensive, but also something that many people were mocking, and they would associate a user of this product with an unpleasant person, or it was something. It was something that people did not seem to appreciate, and it wasn't just the relatively high cost of this device. It was also the fact that uh, a big part of it was the fact that this device was difficult to detect, easy to not notice that you're interacting with a person who has this, and this person has a camera that could be on at all times. This is something that is a factor. Um, we want to, but the benefits for using head-up devices in a more comprehensive way are substantial, and so we want to try to encourage people to not think in terms of um, this market resistance.
Mike, what were you trying to say? Sorry.
I was going to say that Ben makes a lot of good points dealing with like Pokemon Go. I was thinking along the lines that in order for AR to really take off, made where you could access it on any device, because right now there's like only certain types of phones that could actually use Pokemon Go. It even like Ghostbusters World and some other games like that. So I think it should be available on all types of devices, whether it's high end or low end. Because right now, maybe you could access Pokemon Go on like Google Pixel or the iPhone, but you can't really access it on like a low price or Motorola phone or something along those lines.
Yeah, yeah. This is as the technology gets better, it also gets cheaper. It's cheaper and better. So yeah, this expansion of AR to lower price point devices. This is a good notion. And I think the demand would be there for that, especially in the gaming realm. But what about other innovations such as health or infrastructure or shopping or fitness? What do you think about this, Mike?
I think it could be used for manufacturing purposes. I think it could be used for design purposes, fashion purposes. I think it could be used for engineering. Could be used for a lot of different fields. I think, other than just necessary for entertainment purposes.
Yeah. What do you think, Ben? There's a lot of different categories, a lot of different industries that might demand AR and or need AR as technology advances. Do you see AR proliferating across these industries?
Oh yes, and I'm reminded of one of my favorite pieces of fiction, the Accelerando by Charles Stross. And in that story, there's a description of a physician. Oh, wait, yeah, there's a description of a physician who is using this augmented reality device, and this device is heavily mediated with AI, and this person is able to better diagnose and better treat patients as a result. This is something that is already very much a reality for physicians and very much a reality for physicians in training, but it's going to increasingly be a reality for physicians, that they'll have access to a bit of information, a lot more a lot more utility deriving from this sort of thing. So, and it's not limited to something like somebody who has this power over life and death, as a physician does. Most every part of the workplace will be transformed by this greater utility.
Mike, what do you say? Do you think that this will enhance the capabilities of people? For example, first aid, right? First aid is something that
first aid could be a big help. And maybe also add possibly some type of X-ray or MRI type of capabilities added to it, so you can maybe have AR overlaid with MRI, maybe possibly along those lines. I don't know. Maybe something like you would see in maybe Star Trek or some entertainment. I don't know what are your thoughts?
What about in the realm of Ben Zion? What about in the realm of transport? We're getting slowly. We're going to be getting automated transport systems, starting with trucks, hopefully trains as well, but cars eventually with self-driving cars. But in the meantime, do you think that AR could assist in transport?
Yeah. The outside of the realm of self-driving cars, there are some makes and models of cars that do have some head-up features in the windshield. It's relatively this is something you would associate with a higher-end luxury car, but that is the sort of thing that is it saves lives, just as the self-driving feature saves lives. Not having this divided attention between your navigation system and your line of sight as you're driving. This is a safer way of using a vehicle, and so that's something that we should always be considered. So that's an example, augmented reality, of a way in which augmented reality has been used that predates the use of augmented reality headsets that have developed in recent years. So fighter pilots have used this form of augmented reality going back many decades, and we can see hopefully anything that has a windshield might be able to make use of this wonderful technology.
What do you think, Mike? The realm of transport.
I don't know if it'd be possible or not, but I was thinking maybe it might be cool to have maybe some type of AR where it could see through possibly rain or fog, because I know rain and fog could be a problem with driving. And I think maybe it might be cool if you could figure out a way how to have AR be involved with fog, whether it's driving or you flying. But I don't know if they already had it for passenger flying or not. But for driving, it would be a big help.
This is something that devices generally are getting to be quite good at, is looking at a lot of data and maybe a lot of inputs, a lot of sensory data, for example, and being a little bit better than humans sometimes at deciding what the best course of action may be. Not all of those things are happening today in real time. So the best examples of this kind of thing is the use of data science that's been demonstrated to be quite good in radiology or in detection of skin cancer. These are areas where AI is quickly outpacing the services of the physician alone. And but there's, as far as interfaces for navigation, I would imagine that's probably a good idea, and maybe even a good search term to determine what's out there for helping you to navigate a difficult situation with the combination of AI and AR.
And Mike brings up a good point that, if with the fog and all this, I mean, it would especially help people with small boats. I mean, large boats are basically on autopilot, but smaller boats, you're not going to run into smaller to medium-sized boats. You're not going to run into those nasty rocks anymore because because they'll all be outlined for you before you get there. Do you agree with that, Mike?
Yeah. Smaller boats, and even smaller aircraft could be a big help using AR. Yeah, both of them.
Another place that I could really see AR taking off is the tourism industry. So, for example, you can pick any ancient place you want. You could go to China's Great Wall, or you could go to Egypt, and you could be immersed in an augmented reality that would throw you back to a time, plus some headphones and things that would throw you back to a time and place that's cognizant with that place. What do you think, Mike? Do you like the idea of AR tourism?
Yeah. Put it into good effect, and it could also be pretty good for education purposes too. But we would have to make it available on the public school level, community college level, and also the level of post community colleges, like 4-year schools, 6-year schools, that kind of deal.
Yeah, very good. Ben Zion, tourism and/or education.
Yeah, there's already quite a number of museums and historical landmarks that do allow some kind of virtual reality tour to experience the kind of historicity of that location. So you go to a number of landmarks around London, and then you can have a VR headset, which will allow you to see what that would have been like at the time that it was built, or some period hundreds of years before. This is becoming increasingly a commonplace feature of museums and particular kinds of historical locations. And that's an exciting usage, and I think it has incredible applications in education as well. I'd certainly like to see more of that, and I always think that these kinds of artful uses of interfaces that create richer experiences will always be much appreciated, and that's why we want to encourage people to be thinking about these products and talking about these products. Some of these products that are on people's minds, the Magic Leap 1 is coming to market with it's been long anticipated, this product, and that price is about the retails at $2,300, and this is a little expensive, but it does have an incredible 3D experience that's overlaid upon the real world. Of course, Microsoft HoloLens has been out for a few years. HoloLens 2 is also coming out at this time. So both of these are products for 2020. And like Magic Leap 1, it has 3D layering over the real world, and it's considered an improvement over the first HoloLens. It has a larger field of view, about 30% larger than the first HoloLens, and so that creates a more thoroughgoing experience. And like Magic Leap 1, this is a 3D application, but there are a lot of these products that have both 2D and 3D graphics integrated. One of those that's been much discussed is the Apple glasses, which may be delayed into 2020. It's not clear when this product is to be released, but it's something that would be at a little bit lower price point than the Google glass, and also something that, of course, Apple aficionados and people who want to be using a head-up device in conjunction with their other devices would be very excited about. And some of the 2D usages with some of these other smart glasses already on the market are very practical.
Mike, what are you looking forward to in terms of consumer products coming down the line?
Well, I like Ben's ideas with what he. Well, I like what Ben said about the Apple products. But the problem I have with Apple is that they're not very friendly towards working with Google products or Microsoft.
Yeah, it's a closed system.
Used to see people for Microsoft. Yeah, and now all of a sudden, maybe like 10, 12 years ago, they stopped making it for Microsoft Windows. But I would like to see Apple's products be a lot more integrated with Google and Microsoft. It'll be a big help when it comes to AR and anything else that Apple makes. That's what I would like to see as far as consumer products and Apple when it comes to AR or anything in the future.
Mike, where do you see the future of AR, especially if there's going to be
Apple.
this digital iron curtain that's raised between China and the United States, where there'll be two separate development paths? Where do you see AR going in the future?
Well, when it comes to China, I don't know. I don't know what I would have to say about China. I think China could give America a good run for its money. And I think one of the biggest problems we have right now with China, I'm still for products being made in China, but I'm not for necessarily China reverse engineering our technology and stealing our IP. That's the one issue I have with China when it comes to that whole entire technology thing.
All right, Ben Zion 2020, where do you see the future of AR, especially if we have the rise of the digital curtain, the digital divide, and we have two separate development paths, one Western, one Eastern?
Yeah, well, I would hope that we don't see that level of separation or stratification. That's a very real prospect, but we still do have, despite this a great Chinese firewall and a certain level of isolationism in Chinese society, that these organizations that develop this sort of thing, there's a degree of openness and interaction across continents, and we don't expect that to suddenly dematerialize. But anything is possible. Certainly, when we're looking at the prospect of something like great breakthroughs in advanced algorithm, like those that would derive from quantum computing, then we could see people becoming quite secretive on some of these areas, and the very sort of thing that you described is entirely plausible.
That has been in the news where Russia, have you seen that? Where Russia has tested its own internet network. Before we close up this, I just want to get your response, Ben Zion 2020, as a candidate running for United States president. What do you think about that, how they've tested their own internet network? Mike, thank you very much for coming on to the show, talking about AR. Just before Ben responds to that, because that is some breaking news, I pushed that on him right at the end. Anything else you wanted to say about AR, Mike? And thank you so much. Next time you come on, which hopefully will be really soon, we'll get your internet cleaned up a little bit more.
Well, I think I see a lot of good things happening with AR in the 2020s, and I would love to see a number of companies that are located in Western Europe take their Silicon Valley here in California and work with Apple and Google, and even go up to Washington State to work with Microsoft to bring a lot of their know-how and technology over here to the States. and make it available for all, and make it available for us Americans, and make it available for other countries in Europe who don't have that technology right now as far as AR goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, anyway. Yeah, what do you think? What do you think about this? This Russia, this notion that Russia has claimed to test its own internet. It's disconnected. It's given it a test. It's quote unquote unplugged. Benzine 2020. Your response?
Yeah. What's being described here is breaking news here on Boxing Day on Detonation, and that is a description of Russia's the prospect of a nationwide intranet, not bearing some similarity to the kind of Chinese firewall, but a new set of protocols. And every few years, there are discussions of new sets of internet protocols of one kind or another. And but this is certainly has prospects of interesting, if not troubling, kind for a country like Russia, which is in some ways moving in kind of an isolationist direction, and this reflects that. This is something. The openness of the United States internet relative to some other countries like China, it's something that some people do criticize. They regard it as a security flaw. They regard it as a problem with creating a nationalist monoculture. I don't regard the latter as a problem, but China does seem to have a very clear idea of how they want to approach this and how they're going to use this great power to influence what citizens are doing. And this more or less seems to be the idea behind this Russian system, although it's also maybe it could rightly be described as some kind of answer to the geopolitical tensions that derive from quote unquote Russiagate. This was a big news story in recent years, and has serious implications for a smaller country which has which is very good at cyber wars, Russia, but they sort of really poked the hornet's nest to a high degree, to the extent which they've engaged in the cyber war with the United States. And so this isolationist move in the form of these new internet protocols seems to be a defensive play to plan for avoiding future problems of the opposite kind for themselves.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. So thank you very much, Benzine 2020. Thank you very much, Mike. Next time we get on with Mike, we'll get that internet cleaned up so you can all hear him better. I really appreciate your thoughts on AR, Mike. Lots and lots of good stuff in there. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. And Benzine, thank you very much. I put you on the spot at the end there, but a very, very, very solid response to the intranet emerging in Russia. This is a troubling notion, but also a testament to the internet's ability to morph and change across the world. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, folks. And if we don't see you in the coming days, have a happy New Year. We'll see you in 2020.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Thanks for inviting me, Steele and Ben. I had a lot of fun. We should do it again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike.